Severance is a show about something very confusing, like consciousness or whatever. The only thing I know about this show is that it stars the dude from Parks and Rec and the guy who played Ethan from You. Also, it's made by Apple TV, which I completely forgot was a thing until now. Nevertheless, before we get into it, I want to make some predictions about what the show could be like. It's obviously going to have a mystery element, and I feel like it'll be somewhat similar to The Matrix. The main character figures out whatever the plot of the show is and tries to convince his coworkers slash friends that they are trapped in a loop or something like that. Also, before I get copyrighted, I wanted to say how I do my reviews. I go episode by episode, reviewing each one and giving my final opinion at the end. This is fair use. Don't copyright strike me, please. I need money. We go straight into the show with some lady on an office table being questioned by a speaker thingy. She's confused because she doesn't know where she is and just woke up in a random place. The speaker guy wants her to take a survey for some reason.
Open the door!
She ends up taking the survey since there's no way out. All the questions relate to who she is. However, she doesn't know any of it. Not where she was born, her name, or even common knowledge. We now go back to earlier in the day with the guy who was speaking through that speaker, Mark, doing what we all do prior to going to work. He goes to his job, which is at a gray office building, the most boring thing ever. The show's vibe right now reminds me a lot of Utopia, with a weird, somewhat supernatural aura to it. Depressed little Mark goes down this elevator and his face transforms into almost more lizard-like. He's now happier while walking through random white hallways. I'm not kidding. He was walking down these hallways for like a solid minute to 2 minutes long. He's now at his office area. It's very creepy, like the back rooms or whatever that meme was. That was like freaking 3 years ago. We meet with his coworkers, Dylan and Ivory. I did not expect this cast. If you don't recognize either of them, let me remind you. Dylan is from Spider-Man Homecoming and other Marvel movies like Shang-Chi, as well as You. Ivory is one of the villains from the Batman. He is freaking like Falcone. How is he in this? Their supervisor comes in and asks to see Mark. He's brought in to be seen by Miss Cobell. PD, a guy who works with Mark's department, got fired. And that's a big deal because Mark and him were best friends. However, now Mark is being promoted. He's now the chief of microdata refinement. I don't know what that means, but good job. We now go to Mark using the speaker to the lady from the beginning. Apparently, the lady was not supposed to panic like that. Mark goes into the room in person now, telling the lady that her name is Helly. He awkwardly reads through a binder of what he needs to say.
To start, imagine yourself as a seesaw. Ow! Fuck!
Anyway, Helly wants to be let out, if you weren't aware of that. Mark decides to go off script and introduces himself to Helly, telling her that he went through the same thing with the whole waking up with no memories and not knowing who you are thing. She started yelling to be let out again, and if a person says they want to be let out 3 times, they would be let out. Mark leads her down another white hallway for her to exit the building. We get Helly's POV of going through the door because it leads to the exact same hallway, even though the little mirror thing shows a staircase. Helly goes back to Mark because she's very confused, and they go back to the big boss lady to learn that Helly is replacing Mark's old position. The boss lady is very mad at Mark and gives him a stern talking to. Helly goes to the office area to be shown a video of herself, saying that her consciousness was split between a personal and a work one. So in short, no one knows the personal life. They have like a work self that basically lives at the office until they check out, but they don't have any memories of being outside the office. So it's like they leave and then come back almost immediately. Mark clocks out from work and goes home. His personal life is sad. No wife or kids. He just drinks a beer in the dark. A few days later, he's sitting at a diner. A strange man sits in front of Mark. It's PD. And for some strange reason, he's able to remember Mark. PD says what you think he would say, the business isn't what it seems, and if anything happens to him, the company killed him. PD gave him a card that has an address on the back to find answers to whatever PD was looking for. We end the episode with Mark's neighbor being the big boss lady. Okay, so I was kind of right about the plot. The main character figures out that the company he's working for isn't morally sound, and he's basically going to team up with his department to take him down. I think the premise of this is very interesting, with people almost having two different sides to themselves, a work self and a personal self, which is pretty realistic in real life, people having a work persona in a sense, or acting differently in and out of work. It's a very interesting topic because I'm pretty sure it's brought up a lot, people wanting to time skip when they go to work and when they clock out. I'm excited about what this show is going to become and or bring to my fresh youngster eyes. Hey, what's that? That's an affiliate link down below that you should look at if you want. Work Mark is having a good time at the office, happily cleaning the floor in his own desk, until he sees a group picture with him and Petey and gets all depressed. He hides those photos for some reason. Mark is now training Helly. He describes what they do in a very strange way. Apparently, all they do is group numbers or something kind of like that. I don't really know. Anyway, they do a group exercise where they give each other a ball and talk. Mark talks about how much he misses Petey. The supervisor, Milchick, is a very strange sounding guy and somewhat scary.
I think this is a good time to remind ourselves that things like deaths happen outside of here. A life at Lumen is protected from such things. And I think a great potential response to that from all of you is gratitude.
This guy is a villain, if you couldn't tell. He has that creepy predator vibe to him, since he uses a softer voice when talking to his employees. But he's built and has a mustache, so, you know, gotta be a villain. They all take a group photo since they have a new member. Helly is freaked out and wants to quit again. She is caught in the elevator with a note to tell her outside self to quit, which, by the way, they aren't supposed to do. Mark runs over to the guy who caught her and tells him that it was his fault. So now Mark is being punished. But now we're with outside Mark on a date. It's slightly awkward.
Like, you could have a girlfriend at Lumen and not know it. And if you met someone out here, you wouldn't know it in there. Like, you could get married and have kids and just forget they exist for 8 hours every day for your whole life. That doesn't mess with your head?
I think for some people, it's the point.
I forgot to mention that they heavily hint at him having a dead wife. Back to Mark's coworkers. What the hell? Is that some symbiote or something? Ivering is brought to some place to have a wellness check because he's having weird visions of slime. Mark is at the address that Petey gave him. Petey is also there, and he looks all disheveled and a bit crazy. Petey made a map of the workplace since he remembers it. The crazy man talks about a room they are brought in when they aren't acting right, which one of the coworkers is being brought into during that conversation. A lady who was kinda bad and has a voice of one of those ASMR videos like I mentioned in the last video. She tells Ivering about his outside self, saying how cool and handsome he is. It's pretty much glazing the entire time. Mark brought Petey over to his place since he has nowhere else to go. Well, that's not good. Episode 2, really intriguing episode. I feel like I would be somewhat similar to Helly, but in the end, I'd probably just do my job. Like, if I know my outside self wanted to do it, I would probably end up doing it. However, that whole environment is so weird. It has a strange emptiness to it. The show right now reminds me of that, kind of like the Boneworks VR game, if you guys even know what that is. Petey is having a strange time. His work self and personal self is combining. So he gets these weird hallucinations of himself, but not himself at the same time. He talks about that with Mark and explains that a group of people are trying to take down Lumen, the company where they work at. Honestly, it's really sad seeing Petey like this because it's almost the exact same thing as dementia, with him forgetting where he is or confusing a situation with something else. The next day, Mark finally reveals that his wife died a couple years ago, and the job helps him forget about it for a few hours. Petey tells him that whatever pain they feel out there, they bring to the job. It's just the work version of themselves don't know why they feel that pain. Mark is at work now. He's brought up to speed about what happened at work yesterday. He reads to his coworkers the morning announcements, including the announcement that Helly's resigning of the company request was denied, which caused her to try running out of there. We're gonna pause on that for a moment because Mark's sister and her husband dropped something off at his door. Then as soon as they left, Mark's neighbor slash big boss lady breaks into his house What the hell is this lady doing? Just sniffing his candles for no reason. Petey realizes that she is the boss lady and quickly darts out of there. He walks around aimlessly because he's having the weird visions again. We go back to Helly having a mental breakdown. She really does not want to work there, but Mark is upset about that. He goes to meet with the boss lady and asks her to take the team to the perpetuity wing for Helly to understand what they actually do for work.
Get MDR to its numbers.
Okay.
That's a no, by the way. Helly figures out a smart way of sending a message to her outside self by eating a post-it note.
Hey, just in case you find this relevant for some reason, the code detectors can read messages hidden inside the body as well.
Man, never mind. Okay, so I guess they're gonna go on a team trip to the wing area I said earlier.
Optics and design.
Those eggs look like shit.
Dylan is really mean to them for almost no reason. They go to the wing. What even is that? It's some wax statue of the founder of that company they are at. There are even more wax statues. It's creepy since the statues have a speaker that talks about their life.
They update the mouth wall?
It's not called the mouth wall.
Damn, they took down the chick I like. You guys ready to go?
How does he even remember his favorite mouth? Ugh, that made me feel gross saying that. They visited the founder's house and uh-oh, Helly's running off again. How many times are they gonna do this? This is the 4th or 5th time by now. Holy crap. Mark drags her back in, causing her arms to be cut by glass. She's taken away again and has another talk with Milchick. He has her read a pre-written tweet longer to apologize for her actions. While that was being done, Mark was replaced in the group photo frames for everyone. Then he finds a written map behind one of the photos. We also see Petey in some gas station tweaking out. Mark sees an ambulance on his way home and decides to follow it. And we see him pull up in a gas station, and you guessed it, Petey is there and has lost his marbles. He suddenly drops when he sees Mark, and Mark just goes home like nothing happened. Petey is in big trouble. His brain is slowly turning into banana pudding. I guess the surgery they do has some effects over time. Mark's life is very sad. I don't know if maybe his wife's death was caused by something the company did. I could 100% seen it that way. The boss lady seems a bit too sympathetic for the outside Mark. That could be like pity or guilt since she could have had an involvement with the wife's death. Honestly, I'm just surprised how good the show is since it's from Apple TV. I expected actors that would say more than they needed to. I think I thought that because of TMG. Noel or someone said that their show felt like audiobooks with how much they narrate what's going on. Nevertheless, that is not the case with the show, which is a good thing. Helly has been repeating that tweet longer for I don't know how long, probably a while. Milchick says that they will do it more in the morning. That sounds like absolute torture, bro. The next morning, she's back at it. She has repeated that same script 240 times. The reason she has to keep saying it over and over again is because Milchick doesn't believe she's actually sorry. She will not have to do it anymore once he's convinced that she actually meant the apology.
I really am sorry, okay? I'm sorry.
No paraphrasing. Again.
Bro, why? That was pretty believable. I get that it's supposed to be mental torture, but come on. Mark checks out Petey's phone, but the caller is a blocked number, so no help there. Now back to the office. The strange old guy from earlier shows up and gives the team tote bags because they felt sorry for causing them trouble. Ivory likes that man a lot. I'm guessing something fruity is happening behind the scenes. Helly is finally back. It took her over 1,000 times of rereading that passage to have Milchick even believe her. Ivory is at the laboratory that the strange older guy is a part of. His job is putting up artwork, or I think that's part of his job. I'm not really sure. I freaking knew it, dude. I knew something fruity was going on. Nothing wrong with that. Helly found the map that was drawn by Petey. Dylan and Helly trash on Mark for putting work in front of something that might be important.
You're right. I don't give a shit.
Mark.
Bro, he for sure is gonna need that later. Why did he do that? Ivory shows the group something interesting. It's the book that was stolen by the big boss lady. However, Mark decides that he's gonna turn the book in. While that was happening, Haley grabbed one of those paper cutters you see at school for cutting, well, paper. She decides to head over to the boss lady and threaten to cut herself if she isn't able to send her outside self a video of her quitting the job, or at least asking to. She took the video then walked out of Lumen through the elevator. The outside self declined to quit the job.
I am a person. You are not. I make the decisions. You do not.
Dang, I do not like the outside Helly. Outside Mark finds out that Petey just died. The funeral for him was sad. Mark's neighbor was there, pretending that she used to know Petey. Mark feels like an outcast there, which is fair from his perspective. He barely knows the dude. The sermon was nice with a tiny TV showing video of Petey and his family. While that was being shown, the boss lady went to Petey's body and extracted the pill thing in his brain that separates the work and personal self-life. Mark was overwhelmed during the whole thing and decided to head out. We're shown a bit more about what happened to Mark's wife. I could be dumb, but it appears that his wife was in a car accident and died. The next day, we go back to work. Mark reading his brother-in-law's book. It's some self-help guru type thing. Basically, the 48 Laws of Power. Also, Helly ran off again.
Seems like you're getting the hang of stuff here. Cool.
Oh my gosh. I'm not surprised Helly wants to unalive herself. Her other half even told her she wasn't even human and should be grateful. It's an unfortunate situation to be part of. I'm surprised the others haven't felt that before, especially Dylan. I like his character, but I get the vibe that he copes with humor in some way. I don't show a lot of clips with him, but he has these like one-liners that usually have a negative tone in them. That could be hinting that he also hates working there, like Helly. Helly is in the middle of unaliving herself, so that's not fun. Luckily, Mark and some other dude found her just in time. The guy pushes Mark in the elevator so he will forget about it and leave. When he goes back the next day, the boss lady and Milchek have a nice little conversation about Helly, saying that she's in the hospital and that she's gonna go back to work in a few days. Why does outside Helly want this job so bad? I have no idea how much they're being paid in this universe thing, but it can't be so good that your other half wants to unalive themselves. I would understand if it's your dream job or whatever, but you don't even remember what goes on in the office anyway. Everyone on the team, including Mark, has been reading the book his brother-in-law brought over, which is starting to inflect Mark's mind since it talks about free will and choice, which is not in the company's guidelines. Speaking of brother-in-law, Mark's sister is having her baby right when Mark got off work. He shows up and she hasn't had the baby yet, but she's like close or something. I don't know how being pregnant works. Mark's sister goes out for coffee. She sees a house that has someone inside and she asks to borrow the coffee. When she comes back to the cottage or wherever they're staying at, she starts to have contractions, which sounds bad. Anyway, back to work, Mark. Helly is back at the job, but she's still having a hard time. What's with that creepy ass look? The therapist baddie is there to watch Helly in case of something happening.
I'm to watch her for signs of sadness and verbally encourage her to forego further suicide attempts. Upon request, I can also perform a hug.
You know, I've been exhibiting signs of sadness. Could I get one of those?
No.
At least he tried, and I was thinking the same thing, so I can't judge. Ivering is having those weird slime hallucinations again, too. Damn, they're just getting worse and worse. Ivering wants to go get help from somewhere, but before that, he has to run down to the printer and make a copy of Petey's map in case he gets lost. What? Milchek tells him that copy was sent to the wrong printer. What even is that for? We learn that Milchek made that painting to actually scare Ivering from flirting with the old dude, since the paintings are made in the old man's apartment. Mark spilled some coffee on the baddie's therapist notebook thing, so while she runs to the supply room, Mark talks to Helly and brings her to an office room to give her a copy of Petey's map. However, she rejects the offer immediately. In the middle of running away from the conversation, they get lost. Like, really lost. What? Why is there a goat here? They run into the guy feeding the goats, and he tells them it isn't time yet and yells at them to leave. You know how I was saying that the painting from earlier was Milchick's making? Well, Dylan and Ivory went to the old man paint guy room, and Dylan finds the painting, everyone eating each other. So that's a cool find. The old man tells them that the painting hasn't even been out of the room. Also, I forgot to say this, but you know how Dylan was being mean to him? It's because their department has bad blood. They really never spoke about it, but they just kind of hated each other for no reason. Besides the old guy, he didn't believe they were bad or anything. It's kind of like they got like rumors about him going on throughout like every other department group. The weird but kind of hot therapist finds Helly and Mark, taking them back to the office. The boss lady and the one guy talk about Mark.
I would be careful. Upstairs wouldn't look kindly on this.
Yes, Daddy.
What? Why did she even say that? We end the episode with the old man introducing Dylan and Ivory to his apartment, formally, to finally stop the bad rumors about them. Helly trying to hang herself in the elevator was so unexpected. I understand it though, like your own self said you're not human instead of deal with the job you hate. The thing is, like, their whole life is the job, so it's not like they can relax or anything. They have to work, come back, work, come back, work. They have no rest period besides like lunchtime. The idea of it sounds great from like the outside person's view, because it's just like free time and then free time, and then they're just making money. It's like they don't have an actual job. Half the day's gone, but that's kind of it. But it sucks for the work self. I just don't get how Helly's outside self isn't worried. She tried to end her life and she still wants to go back to work. That's a major sign of not continuing the job you're at. I also did not expect a romance to develop with Ivory at all. So him being into the old guy was so surprising. I just didn't expect that, mostly because he's Falcone from the Batman. Falcone is supposed to be this intimidating guy, but in the show he's the most non-threatening and not very intelligent member of the team. We open the episode with the big boss lady praying to a shrine to the founder of Lumen. So that was cool. Mark's sister has her baby now. She saw the coffee lady from before and waved at her, but got egoed. So she decides to go over there and strike up a conversation. She also talks to the husband, and it's very awkward. The lady acts like they never even met. I thought the husband was gonna be abusive or something like that, since it would have made more sense that she ignored Mark's sister, but that doesn't even seem like the case, so I don't know. Apparently, the baddie therapist was sent to the break room, the place where Helly was, to be punished for losing sight of Helly. The boss lady tells Mark this, but he's confused on why he isn't punished. She has some weird fascination with him. I don't know.
What is it we actually do here?
We serve here, you child!
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Shut up!
That was the least intimidating scene I've seen in the show so far. Despite that scary interaction, the team decides to head to the old dude's apartment. They talk to the people in that department. All of them are trying to figure out what they're actually doing at the company. They ask questions about what the other teams are doing to see what it might lead to. However, Milchick arrives and drags them to see the boss lady again.
Key, chosen one, key. Key, brilliant one, key.
What is wrong with this lady? She's so weird. All she did was send Mark to the break room. He passed the baddie on the way out. Mark, he's on a date with the lady from before. It's going better than last time. He starts to talk about his dead wife. She doesn't mind it very much though, which is good because he hasn't talked about it much at all. Mark's sister is having Mark's neighbor watch her baby. Oh no, that's gonna go very wrong. I feel like she's gonna brainwash the kid or something, or put a pill inside of the head. Okay, so this next part is a little weird. Dylan stole a graphics card from the painting room. I don't even know what the department's called, but it's close enough. Milchick visited his house and turned off the Severance pill thing, which apparently they can do, to know where he put it. He told them where he placed it, and the Severance gets turned back on. The graphics card was something violent, or like a martial arts move or something. I'm guessing they can put in these cards into the workers and make them kill each other, similar to the painting, but that's just my game theory for right now. It's kind of like Nano Machine. You know, you guys know that manhwa? I'm a loser. I read manhwas. I'm so lonely. Mark and his date go to Petey's daughter's concert thingy. It's super edgy and looks very exaggerated. Do people even look like this anymore? The song they are singing, if you could call it that, talk about how much they hate Lumen. Mark says hi to Petey's daughter after that performance. She is very passive aggressive and Mark and his date leave. Oh crap, they slept together! Mark gets a call on Petey's phone and decides to answer it. It's some lady asking about what Petey said before he died, and they agree to meet up. Episode 6, the boss lady is so weird. She isn't even scary. Just like a strange person, like almost like a homeless person on the side of the road who's like on crack. I like how Mark is finally seeing the light on the outside and the inside of his work. I knew that was gonna happen anyway, but it was still cool. Furthermore, I wonder how Dylan is gonna feel. He is a kid and he never even knew about it. His work self is very childish, so it must be strange that he has his own kid. The lady who met up with Mark takes him to some abandoned underground hospital. She's the doctor who de-separated the work life and personal life of Petey. The guy who works at Lumen shows up.
It's okay. I'm a friend.
Shit! What the fuck are you doing?
Oh my golly. Well, anyway, that woman killed that guy. Mark threw up and gave her Petey's phone. She tells him that he will finish what Petey started. Mark rushes home to put his clothes in a trash bag and stuffs it under the sink. Alexa, date he was on, lady, asked him why he drove off in the middle of the night, and then he kindly got her an Uber. Milchick checks where Dylan left the graphics card and returns it to the old guy. When Dylan clocks back in, Milchick threatens him nicely, not to mention what happened to the others.
So am I going to the...
I'm here to escort you to your desk. New protocol.
Milchick now has to walk Mark to his desk so he doesn't, go around anymore doing some tomfoolery. Milchick also locked the office so they can't wander around anymore.
And this, show the baby the areola, and we latch.
What am I watching? Okay, so Mark's neighbor isn't babysitting but teaching Mark's sister how to treat the baby. They get along really well, but it's so unnerving because the boss lady's so weird. Mark's sister brought up the rich lady who ignored her. She says that she didn't remember her when they met the second time. I guess that was what they were trying to show. I thought that she just didn't want to see her. Anyway, the sister brings up the idea that the servant's surgery, the split brain thing, could be used outside the Lumen building. She believes this because she was researching the lady and found out her husband works for Lumen in some way. By the way, the boss lady dismisses what she says as a joke. Back to the office, Helly is getting rewarded for getting rid of 70% of bad numbers, or whatever they do. The reward is choosing music to play for 5 minutes. Very uncanny. Oh shit, Dylan is not happy with the whole seeing his kid and not being able to know about him. When Milchick leaves to get a tetanus shot, Dylan tells the team about seeing his outside life. Mark reveals he's a security card that his outside self left him. They decide to have a field trip. Well, mainly Mark and Helly, because Ivory is checking up on his lover, and I have no idea what Dylan's doing.
You've been gooning.
Anyway, they both find the security room with cameras and switches for every employee. Helly grabs a piece of paper that says how to switch themselves out of the work self to personal self thing. Then they quickly leave. Ivory is at the painting department or whatever. The old man is retiring suddenly. This makes Ivory sad, saying that they are letting him die.
You're not severed. You walk out of here with your memories. You carry them home with you every night. No one can rip them away from you, snuff them out, like they never existed.
Dang. At least he's standing up for himself, or the old man, I guess. Milchick ignores the speech and allows Ivory to stay for the retirement party. He comes back to the gang after the party, and now he wants revenge to destroy Lumen. So outside, Mark tried proving his love for the one lady, but she leaves anyway. And we are revealed, the biggest reveal that I thought was crazy, was that the baddie therapist is his dead ex-wife. Wow. Did not expect that last part. That was the furthest from my mind. I feel weird now that I kept calling her baddie. Maybe I should stop. Nah. I thought that it might have been Helly's identical sister or something, but I guess I was wrong. Dylan biting Milchick was unexpected and gross. Also, how did Milchick not fight back? If he fought back, he would have won. That guy looks like he would be in the freaking UFC, dude. You see how jacked he is? We open the episode with Ivory outside enjoying his day walking his dog. We see him go home. It's similar to Mark with him being all alone, but he does paint, which explains why he likes the paintings at work so much. Back in the office, everyone is a bit on edge because Helly is behind quota with putting numbers away. Then she gets 100%, which means she completed it. I still have no idea what it means, but it's a good thing.
I love you. But now I must away, for there are other
others who need me around the world. Goodbye, Helly R. And thank you.
We're going to ignore that. Mark goes to his dead wife/therapist, who doesn't know that either one of them is their spouse. She's about to get fired because of letting him and Helly in the hallway. She doesn't regret it though, stating that being with them, she was the happiest she's ever been at work. They stare at each other for a long time, and then the therapy session ends. The baddie therapist is led into a mysterious hallway by Milchick. I'm guessing it's the getting fired elevator. There's an after party for all of them, hitting the quarter quota for whatever they do. They plan to use that time to plan on how they switch themselves using the paper they got from last episode. However, Milchick is being annoying, staying around them like a helicopter parent with a camera. While that was going on, the big boss lady was suspended by the board because Helly tried to unalive herself, and she was hanging out with Mark's sister, which is a weird thing for her to do. The office team is now planning to do the switcheroo.
You think we're about to meet our spouses?
Maybe.
Maybe it's each other. That'd be a hoot.
Ha ha ha, funny. Oh, he just cheated. Dylan is gonna be the guy to switch them, but before he can do that, he's brought to the house museum thing they were a few episodes ago. I'm pretty sure it's a punishment of some kind, but I'm not too sure. Where the hell did those waffles come from? When he's done with the waffles, the plates have a message on them saying to go to the founder's bed, which is terrifying to read. He has to put on the founder's face as a mask, which is terrifying, and he has to sit there and watch a bunch of ladies with creepy masks on dance. I don't blame him. I would run away if I saw that. Dylan is now doing the switcheroo procedure. Then the episode ends right as they switch. Okay, what was that dance? Why did he even eat waffles anyway? I can understand the creepy dance thing being a punishment, or whatever ritual was happening, I don't know. But nothing really happened to him, it was just weird. In addition to that, what do they even do at their job? I still don't know, I'm almost done. I'm on the last episode. What is this? Well, everyone switched. Mark's at his sister's party thing at her house. The boss lady is there as well and is confused by Mark acting weird all of a sudden. Irving was painting what appears to be the elevator they take when they're fired. Helly's at what appears to be a very important event that involves Lumen in some way. Everyone is just confused where they are. Irving has a cute dog though, so that's nice. Mark is shocked to find out that the book he was reading in the office was written by his brother-in-law. Mark tries to speak with him afterwards and finds out he had a dead wife or something like that, but now he has to see his sister. Helly's event, or wherever she's at, is an event about Severance. How successful it is in having the department in the spotlight for this presentation, with Helly, her outside self, being the spokesperson for the whole thing.
Are you still in pain? No.
What the hell? That's the founder, by the way, who's supposed to be seen as dead. In addition, Helly is his daughter. She's very upset at this news, since she is the enemy itself. Mark told his sister about what Lumen is really like. She was bewildered by it all. She tells Mark that he lost his wife in a car accident, blah 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 blah. That's the reason he took on Lumen, because he wanted a part of himself that wasn't in pain. Boss lady figured out that Mark switched out, so she called Milchick to go to the one room and switch them back. Speaking of, Mark tells his sister that his boss was at the party, but that's bad because Mark's sister gave her the baby.
Wait, what is going on?
Oh my God, her car's gone. I gave her the baby and she left.
She left?
Well, that's not good. Milchick is trying to get in the room Dylan is guarding.
I want to remember my fucking kid being born.
Fair enough. Everything is going crazy right now, with Helly losing her mind, Mark's sister panicking, and Irving going to the old man's house, only to find out that the old man is already married to a different guy. Womp womp. Mark finds the nephew though. Hey, at least the baby is safe. The boss lady confronts Helly, but then she has to give a speech. Also, Mark found out the therapist is his wife.
They torture us down there. Damn it! Please! We're prisoners!
What the hell is going on? What? That's the end? Okay, that's such an annoying ending. We don't even get to see the ending of them being switched back. That's crazy. I like this show a lot. I'll probably do a season 2 if you guys actually want that. It fits the theme of being on the edge of horror and thriller. This show is what you would have expected MatPat to theorize about. It has some good theory material, so that's what came to mind for me when I first watched this. I think the concept was also very interesting with having your brain split in half with 2 personalities, which we as people do usually. I brought it up already in one episode, but I think we all have a work self and a personal self, and we switch when we're at a job and when we're with friends or family, which can turn into a bad thing over time, kind of just get you confused and lost who you are. At least that's what I got from this premise. The actors did an amazing job. I didn't expect Ivory to be gay, but once it was revealed he was in the Navy, it all made sense. What I thought was gonna happen was that Ivory outside of work was gonna be straight, and then you could be like a different sexuality in the workplace, which now that I think about it, is kind of dumb. The guy who played Mark did a great job at portraying a man who hates his life, so that was a plus. I'm sorry, but the lady that played Miss Kobo did a bad job at being scary. Her face could be intimidating at times. However, her acting was not great, downright bad in the moments that were supposed to be terrifying. Overall, the show was great. Especially for a show made by Apple TV. It has some suspense, a bit of romance, and a bit funny at times, even if it wasn't on purpose. Anyway, bye bye.